Good morning. I would like to call this February 7th, 2018 meeting of the Planning and Advisory Commission to order. If you'll please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please do me a favor and silence or turn off your cell phones before we begin if you have not done that already. I would like to remind those in the audience and those watching on television that this is the first hearing of any rezoning, text change, or special exception request brought before us today. We will first hear a reading of the staff report for the case by the planning staff and ask the applicant to provide a brief overview of the request. We will then give the opportunity for anyone in the audience to speak for or against that request or to inquire about said request. The commissioners will have any needed discussion on the case, and once a motion is made and seconded by the commission, a vote will take place and a recommendation will be rendered. The case will go back to the planning department for their independent recommendation. If a favorable recommendation is given, then the case is forwarded to the city council with 2 independent recommendations. If the planning department makes a recommendation for denial, the applicant will have 10 days from the receipt of a letter stating denial to notify the clerk of council that they are requesting to be placed on the City Council's agenda. The City Council of Columbus will hold a public meeting, first reading, and the said council shall consider the case, review PAC and Planning Department recommendations, and hear discussions on the matter. Council will make a final decision at a second public meeting, which is called the second reading. I believe, let me get to our agenda, hang on a second. Before we actually begin with our cases, I would like to ask Rick Jones to come forward. He has got some introductions to make. This is actually our first meeting of the year, which is hard to believe, so Happy New Year.
It is. Good morning and Happy New Year to you. And that sounds a little strange in February, but like she just said to you, this is your first meeting. I want to take the opportunity and come again and welcome you to another year of being on the Planning Advisory Commission. Thank you for your efforts and your willingness to do this. Especially want to recognize Mr. King. Welcome back to the Planning Advisory. We're glad to have you here as well. As always, I want to just reemphasize the point that we're here to help you and here to serve you in terms of whatever your needs may be in dealing with zoning cases. These are very at times tenacious issues we have to deal with and walk through. And our job is to make sure you have all the information you need to make an informed and intelligent decision. And we certainly want to do that for you. I also want to take the opportunity this morning to let you meet some staff members who are brand new to the planning department. I want to ask them to stand there behind me over here. Y'all stand, please. On the end there is Trey Wilkerson. He is our new planner as well here. You'll see him around dealing with some different issues as well. Next to him is Carolina Rodriguez. She is our new transportation planner. She's dealing primarily with not only transportation issues, but also with bike issues in the community, and biking, making that a more viable mode of transportation for us all to utilize. And then on the end here is Mike Mixon, who's also a planner, who's been brought on staff as well. And you'll see a lot of Mike, I hope, in the coming weeks and months as we go along. All of them bring a lot of expertise, a lot of good things to the table, and they're there for your benefit and for the community's benefit in terms of anything or issues you may have that require additional information. So I would ask that you feel free to call them, if you will, from that. Last but not least is the one that you're going to be dealing with hopefully on a day-to-day basis, or at least on a weekly basis, and that's John Renfro. John Renfro is now our new principal planner, which is also the name for our zoning administrator. As you may recall, Kevin Harrett left and went to North Georgia end of last year. And so John is coming and is taking his place, and we think John's going to do a fine job. John's been with us for a little over a year now, almost going on 2 years, really, when you think about it. He brings to the expertise, I think, the knowledge and the experience you're going to appreciate. He's already impressed me with the fact about making sure things are kept in order, that you get your stuff in a timely fashion. We've had that conversation already about what needs to be done for that. John's going to provide you that information, and John should be your right-hand man, or I guess politically correct, right-hand person here for whatever needs you may have in terms of dealing with zoning in this community or have questions or issues about. John is going to be, I think, going to be a worthy person to deal with, and I think you'll find him very responsive. So please welcome John with me this morning on that. But at the same time, I will caution you, John is still brand spanking new. This is something he's trying to learn and trying to deal with on a daily basis. So I would ask for a little bit of patience. I know we just got through dealing, and you're going to hear it this morning, and dealing with one of our zoning cases where we had an issue about the notification. That's just something we just got to have a learning process and a learning curve on. We've corrected that problem, and John is certainly taking on that role of making sure things are done in a proper manner. Does he know everything yet? Does he know how everything should work or not work? No. That just comes with experience on the job. But I have no doubt in my mind that John's going to achieve that and probably exceed my expectations. I hope yours as well. So, again, John's here to help you, like the other members of staff. And, of course, I'm here as well, along with Will Johnson. If we can be of any service to you in anything, please let us know. Again, that's our job and that's our role as a planning department to support the Planning Advisory Commission. So, Madam Chair, thank you for the opportunity to introduce these folks. And let us know how we can help you in the future. Thanks.
And I want to echo, thank you so much, John. You have been incredibly responsive. I know we've had some glitches with me, and the information has been really nice how quickly you've responded, so I appreciate that. We have two cases on the agenda, but first we have the approval of the minutes. Commissioners, those were sent out earlier. It's the December the 6th, 2017 minutes. Does anybody have any addition, corrections, or anything to the minutes? If not, we can approve those as accepted. Okay, well, we will submit those as approved and accepted. Of the two cases we have, we're going to swap the order. We're going to actually listen to our second case first, which is REZN-12-17-2467. And this is a request to rezone 0.16 acres of land located at 1052 Center Street. The current zoning is NC, which is neighborhood commercial. The proposed zoning is RMF1, which is residential multifamily 1. The current and proposed use is single-family residential. Donald Johnston is the applicant, and the property is located in Council District 7, Woodson. Mr. Renfro, if you'll read the staff report for us.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, let's get... I don't know. Mike? The red button? Or to the far right? There you go.
Yes, ma'am. Case numbers are REZN-12-17-2467. General land use is consistent with the comprehensive plan, planning area D. Current and future land use is office professional. It is compatible with the existing land uses. Property does not lie within a floodplain or floodway. Property is serviced by all city services. There's no traffic impact. This site shall meet the codes and regulations of the Columbus Consolidated Government for residential use. There's no school impact, no buffer requirements, no Fort Benning recommendation, no development of regional impact. 19 property owners were notified, no comments were recorded, and no additional information.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, any questions regarding the staff report? All right, if the applicant is here, is the applicant here? Yeah, if you'll, I'm sorry.
I do have one question for staff, and that has to do with the two maps of future land use and existing land use. This is a request to have an area, have a lot be rezoned residential, but then the future land use shows not just that lot, but all of the residential nearby lots as future use office professional. And I'm just wondering if staff has any comment on that.
Yeah, this structure at one time has been, it looks like a house from the street. It has been a home. For a brief time, it was a little restaurant, sandwich shop type thing, and now it's back being a house again. There's also a house next door. These three lots right here are sandwiched between Center Street and the Fall Line Trace, so there's not a lot of opportunity for redevelopment or anything.
I think Ms. Johnston will go into more detail on it, but there's not another user that could come in there commercially, meet current parking requirements and other requirements of the Unified Development Ordinance.
So is the applicant, is it correct saying Donald Johnston, or is it?
Mrs. Johnston's here, Johnston.
Okay, I just want to make sure we didn't need to make a correction to that. Well, if you'd like, are there any other questions amongst the commissioners for the staff report? Okay. If you'll please come forward and state your name and address and give us a brief overview of the case.
Teresa Johnston, 1228 Cedar Avenue. We purchased the house in September of 2014, and it was for rental property. The house is 2-bedroom, 1-bath. It was being used as a rental house at the time. And then this past year, we found out that the zoning was for this restaurant. We did not know that a sandwich shop had been in there prior to that because they had converted it back into rental property. And when we found out that we were in violation, we petitioned to have it changed back to residential. And we currently have a tenant in there now. I can't see where any other business could be put in there. It's, small lot, single-family house.
Commissioners, are there any questions for the applicant? Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this request? I see no one. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak against the request? And being that there is none, do I hear a motion? Mr. Greenblatt?
Yes, regarding case REZN-12-17-2467, applicant and owner is Donald E. Johnston, 1052 Center Street, approximately 1.6 acres. Current zoning is neighborhood commercial. Proposed zoning classification is residential multifamily 1, consistent with the general land use and compatible with existing land uses. I move that we approve.
And do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All right, it is approved unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me. That brings us to our next case, which is REZN-12-17-2436. This is a request to rezone 0.623 acres of land located at 1205 Front Avenue. The current zoning is LMI, Light Manufacturing Industrial. The proposed zoning is CRD, Central Riverfront District. The proposed use is a restaurant, retail, or event center. Robert McKenna is the applicant, and the property is located in Council District 7, Woodson. And before we go any further, there are 3 of us that have to recuse ourselves, Mr. Kenner, Mr. Dudley, and myself, so Mr. King will take over as chair for the moment.
All right.
All right, we'll give them an opportunity to step out. Thank you. All right. Mr. Renfro, if we could, if you would just go over the staff report with us, please, first.
Yes, sir. Case number REZN-12-17-2436. General land use is not consistent with the comprehensive plan, planning area D. Current and future land use is transportation, communication, utilities. It is compatible with existing land use. Property does lie within a floodplain and floodway. Property is served by all city services. No traffic impact. This site shall meet the codes and regulations of the Columbus Consolidated Government for residential usage. No school impact, no buffer requirements, no Fort Benning recommendation, no development of regional impact. 99 property owners were notified. 1 comment was recorded. No additional information.
Okay.
And Mr. Chair, let me clarify. We, as staff, there was 1 comment that came in directly to the planning department. We did have some come into the deputy city manager, not necessarily opposed, but just had some concerns about it.
Okay.
And what were those concerns?
Whether or not it was going to be Well, you know about the river mill that you've seen in the paper, whether it was moving there. And we can't answer that question. That's a private business matter. Maybe there's some more that can be elaborated on by the applicants.
Okay. I do have a question, too. It was originally designated for transportation community utility. Can you?
When the CRD was adopted in 1997 for the whole riverfront area there, all the way back towards 3rd Avenue,
Right.
the powerhouse was still operating. That's why it was left as light manufacturing industrial. It was still a utility.
Right, I got you. All right. That clarifies that. Commissioners, do y'all have any other questions from staff? All right. And I know you're here to present the case, so would you state your name and your address and tell us about your case this morning, please?
Sure. Good morning. My name's Austin Gibson with Page Scranum, Sprouse, Tucker, and Ford, and my address is 1111 Bay Avenue, Columbus, Georgia. And we're here today on behalf of Columbus Powerhouse, LLC, and we're here to, as you said earlier, to rezone the powerhouse located on the Chattahoochee River with the property description included in your packet. And my client desires to bring this property into alignment with the zoning plan of the downtown area, and which is CRD. And as noted earlier, the powerhouse is no longer operational, and so my client would just like to move the zoning into alignment with the surrounding area and all of the buildings nearby.
Okay.
And
So what's your primary plan? I know you said restaurant, retail, event center. I mean, can you talk a little bit about the usage of this property?
Sure. There have been some discussions of using it as an event center or restaurant, but Columbus Powerhouse hasn't set anything in stone yet with what they're planning to do with it. But it will be consistent with that retail, restaurant, event center type plan.
Okay. All right, commissioners, do you have any questions of the applicant?
I guess I have a joint question for
All right, Mr. Reese.
the applicant as well as the staff here. I understand from the gentleman that they haven't solidified the plans, but whatever they do is going to be within compliance of the current code. And even if we consider that from a restaurant perspective, the report says no traffic impact. How is that even possible, that there's absolutely no traffic impact?
There are no parking requirements or traffic requirements downtown in the CRD. First Avenue, once the Rapids is open, Front Avenue, once the Rapids is finished, the new apartment complex will be reopened.
Okay.
So we will have north, south, east, west traffic fully functioning as soon as that project is finished. Most traffic generated downtown finds a parking spot and is pedestrian traffic. So we have the 3 parking garages plus surface parking plus on-street parking.
Okay. And I guess my follow-up question is, I know you talked about some of the feedback that you guys received then. Was there anything from the condo owners right there in that particular building by the tower?
Their concerns were primarily about, of course, right now, the former operators of the River Mill, the Keatings, already operate a restaurant and an event center there at the location with their back room and their patio there. This is not anywhere on the scale size-wise of the River Mill Event Center. So I think there was some fear that something on that scale would be coming, but the powerhouses are much, 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 much smaller. So it'd probably be something akin to what they already do. If they are actually the ones that move in there, right now it's wide open for, as Mr. Gibson said, another entity to come in there. Mr. Keating, for instance, is already established at the bottom floor of the Eagle and Phoenix Mill.
And one more follow-up question. With the variability that we have here and all the possibilities that could fall under Central Riverfront District, the coding there, is there any particular usage that would concern you? Since we're not sure today exactly what it's going to be used for, is there anything that would concern you?
No, there's nothing in the CRD that would concern us. That is a full mixed-use zoning classification There's no industrial in it, nothing like warehousing. So it would fall perfectly into everything else that's going on right there.
Well, Mr. Austin, thank you for your time. I will just say for the record, when I first moved to Columbus, I moved in Eagle and Phoenix. I would walk past this building on the Riverwalk quite a bit, and I've always looked at it and said, hey, you know, that view would be amazing for a restaurant. So I hope your clients move forward with the restaurant plan. It would be a great addition to that part of downtown, and I'll certainly be in support of it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Reese. Any other questions? All right, is there anyone in the audience that would speak for or against this case? Please come forward at this time. All right, thank you, Mr. Gibson. No further questions. I'd like to open the floor up for a motion to either accept or deny this case.
Mr. Interim Chair?
Yes, sir.
As it relates to
good.
matter REZN 1217-2436, applicant Robert McKenna, owner Columbus Powerhouse LLC, location 1205 Front Avenue, currently zoned as light manufacturing industrial, proposed zoning Central River District zoning, current use of the property, former powerhouse, proposed use, as we learned today, is still in the works, but consistent with the Central Riverfront District coding policy. I would like to move that we approve this request, considering that there are no major concerns from the staff, and it's in full compliance with what we will require.
All right. We have a motion on the floor. We have a second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor, please raise your right hand. All opposed by the same sign, and it passes. Thank you very much, Mr. Gibson.
Thank you.
All right. I know everybody left the room. Is there any other business?
Yeah, she's back.
She's back. Oh, there she is. Welcome back. We were just waiting to go.
That's it. All right, Mr. Renfro, I know that you've got on our agenda a conversation about the calendar for 2018.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything we need to?
Have y'all reviewed it? Pretty much follows last year's to a degree. Off the top, I don't have it in front of me, but off the top of my head, obviously, we will not have a July 4th meeting.
Right.
Other than that, and I'm probably not do we have a copy? Okay. No Thanksgiving meeting, so.
I mean, there's nothing surprising.
No, very consistent.
Yeah, so we don't have to vote on that, do we?
Yes.
We do. So do I hear a motion amongst the commissioners to approve the calendar?
So move.
Second. All those in favor of adopting the 2018 calendar, raise your right hand. And it is unanimous. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Dang. And I got a second. We are adjourned.